going on, everybody? Welcome back to Spotlight 39 Live. It's Rob Odie. It's Zack Puff. 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 P-O-F. I'm going to get
There
this,
you go,
man.
dog.
Anywho, so let's do a couple of things. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you have, we appreciate you coming back and supporting these young men. Trying to live out their dreams, man. We talk to kids that you know, some kids that you don't know, and that's what it's all about. We got to give a big thanks to our sponsors, I Empower Energy and the Great White Apparel. Make sure you check out the website, greatwhite.shop. It's got some pretty awesome premium apparel on there for you student athletes. And then I can't not say the 39 Hearts Foundation. I tend to leave them out almost every week, and that's unfortunate. That is the reason why Spotlight 39 exists. So make sure you check it out on the website, spotlight39.com. 39 Hearts Foundation. Every strong athlete needs a strong heart. So without further ado, man, Zach, you ready to get into it? You ready to talk some football? We had a big opening week. Where do we want to start, man? I'm going to let you kick it off. Tell me where you want to begin with the recap.
Yeah, man. You know me, I'm always ready to talk high school ball. And last week it was nice, man. It was kind of the first, kickoff weekend. We saw a few states get going, mainly Georgia. And obviously, we got to talk about the only Max Prep's top 25 matchup last week. You were there live, man. It was a rainy day, a little lightning, it looked like, too. But I was impressed with Milton, man. You knew Luke Nickel and CJ Wiley were going to show out. But I was impressed with the defense for sure. And they had a very strong running game, too, with TJ there carrying the rock.
And
So,
I was going to say we can't have this conversation without speaking on TJ Lester.
yeah.
Super proud of this young man. Last year battled, some just minor tweaks and pains, right? That kind of held him back a little bit. And just watching him tote the ball like he did against a very strong Buford defense. I mean, Buford,
Yeah.
they're ranked where they're at for a reason, right? And he put up over 100 yards on, I think, 21 carries. Nice touchdown. I got to capture it right smack dab in the middle. And then I got to chat with him after the game, man. So I thoroughly expect for that recruiting to change a little bit. He's currently committed to Eastern Kentucky. Should that change, TBD. But I think it's going to open some more eyes out there, especially if he continues to run like this with the big matchup that we'll get into a little bit later. So Milton, man, lived up to the hype. Buford, they put on a heck of a try, man. That weather delay, 2.5 hours. Two and a half
Yeah, it was a
hours.
long time, man.
It was
That
not.
game pretty much ended almost the same time as the Gorman game ended, and they kicked off, yeah, at 7 p.m. Pacific time, and it was almost a 2.5 hour difference. So yeah, but also like you were talking about, man, you throw a guy with TJ and get that running game going for Milton, that's scary because now you get that well balanced offense. You're not going to be able to double team CJ Wiley the whole game. Ethan Barbour had a nice game too. He had a big drive on that opening second half drive where Luke Nickel went 4 for 4 for 80 yards and had that 17-yard touchdown to CJ Wiley. So this is a scary team because I expect Milton by about the halfway point this year. Their offense is going to be clicking even more. Their defense is good on all three levels too. So this is going to be a scary team. And I'd be surprised if they lose to any in-state teams this year. And I'm looking forward to that game Friday night against number 20 American Heritage. That's going to be a good one.
Yeah, man, we're gonna chat about that one a little more in detail. But let's continue the recap. Right, we had a very rainy Southern kickoff. I mean, all the Georgia games were impacted for the most part. We had the big game on ESPN. Right, we had Juju.
Yeah.
Juju, talk to me. What did you see? Obviously I wasn't able to watch. So from your point of view, what did you see? Good, bad, ugly, man. Juju looked
Yeah,
in.
Yeah, I thought Juju had a solid game. He didn't put up crazy numbers. I think he completed 9 of 15 passes, threw for around 125 yards, had 3 touchdowns. But I was impressed with they got a stud sophomore running back, Messiah Satterwhite. He had over 100 yards on the ground, had a touchdown, and they did a good job utilizing Peyton Zachary. He's a shifty, not the tallest wide receiver, but he's a tough cover in open space. And Ryan Mosley had a touchdown too. So I was impressed with Carrollton's offense. I think as this team goes, they're going to get better each week. The chemistry wasn't there, and as you brought up, man, the weather was terrible all over Georgia last week, so it's really hard to kind of get in sync offensively, and you saw that in the Carrollton game. But they started a little slow against Woodward Academy. Julian Lewis threw an interception early on, and after that, they kind of cruised and pulled out a 24-14 win. Woodward Academy with Jerome Bettis Jr., he had a solid game, and Rodney Harrison's son, R.J. Harrison, had an interception in that game. He looked very good. He's kind of one of the more underrated DBs in the class of 2025. But Carrollton made plays when they needed to. The defense was able to get pressure on Woodward Academy and held on for that 24-14 dub. So I'm looking forward, though, end of the year, man. We got Carrollton and Douglas County. Douglas County look like some dogs out there playing defense in
Man.
a 47 win.
Yeah, so let's just keep the recap going. Let's take it to Douglas County. Let's take it to the courtyard
Yeah.
inside the bins. It was the nightcap. A
Mhm.
lot of people were tired, hanging out in the stadium all day. The energy was a little light to kick it off, and then Douglas went bananas. I mean,
Yeah.
crazy. I mean, they're star studded on both sides of the ball, right? I mean, they got underclassmen, they got seniors. I mean, they're just loaded. They got a handful of transfers, right? DJ came in, looked pretty sharp in his big debut. So, from your point of view, what did you see? I saw it through a lens. You saw it on TV.
Yeah, it's obviously you get a different look at it being there live and watching on TV. I can't even imagine what these dudes look like on defense being there live because they were jumping through the TV when I was watching them on defense, man. Hey, good luck trying to block Jordan Carter. This guy was a preseason choice for us easily on the All America team because he showed why. He had 8 tackles, a tackle for loss, had a sack, and Junior Bordeaux at quarterback. He had a good game throwing the ball, running the ball. They got playmakers on offense. Devin Carter, stud, transferred over from Cedar Grove. So he got some, got to flex on his old team a little bit with that 42-7 win. And obviously Aaron Gregory, another absolute stud in that 2026 class. Douglas County, man, that team's for real. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't jump in the national rankings here in the Max Prep Top 25 within the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I mean, if they continue to mesh like they did on Saturday, I think they're going to be a very difficult team to go against, especially as the season progresses. So that was electrifying. Like I said, I got to see it through a lens. I'm going through all the tape as we speak. Throughout this week, and it's been fun, man. I got some great still shots, of these young men, and then I got to look through the lens and see some of these, live action plays. Man, they're absolutely monsters. They make. I'm a fluffy guy. I'm about 6'1", and I
Yeah.
look all to the better part of that team. So they're
Hey, hey, Douglas County's that one squad, man. When you roll up to the game and you see the boys coming out of the bus, you're like, oh, man, we playing these guys? I don't like our chances tonight. That's what Douglas County is to me, man. They're going to be a physical bunch, and they got some big dudes.
oh look, and they got a really big 2027. I forget his name. I'd have to pull it up, but he's on the line.
The
Um,
big offensive lineman. Yeah, he's like 6'7", 340.
Yeah, man. So, I'm on the sideline talking, to Ched, and he was just like, look, that's a guy you want to put your eyes on. That's somebody you need to know. And then sure enough, the guy was a man child. Like he was just owning his space as a 2027. So a lot of fun to watch. I'm excited to see where they go for the rest of the season. But we can't stop the recap there. Let's look at the list. We had Corner Canyon and American Fort. Let's talk about that one.
Yeah, and we're getting the quarterback on Helaman Casuga later on tonight, and he had a monster game. He completed 18 to 20 passes, threw for 482 yards and 6 touchdowns. Not a bad debut, and it's always nice to get to play quarterback for head coach Eric Carrot. This is a guy he's coached the Wilson brothers, Isaac and Zack Wilson. Also, Coach Jackson Dart, Devin Brown, who's now at Ohio State, and Cole Hagan too, who had a very good high school career and went on to play D1 football. But he's got another big time quarterback. They're going to be fun to watch. They got a bunch of playmakers he get the ball to too. Jerome Miles, a 5-star on some recruiting services, a high 4-star. He had 4 receptions for a $121 and a touchdown. Kryshawn Lee had a big time game. He had 9 grabs for a school record 265 yards and had 4 touchdowns. And Brighton Brady, one of the more underrated running backs in the class of 2025, he had a school record. He rushed for 281 yards on only 14 carries and found the end zone 3 times. So I'm looking forward to Thursday because, obviously IMG Academy is not American Fork. So they're going to get a little bit of a different test. So we'll really get to see how explosive this offense is when they line up against an IMG team that has 32 players rated as a 3-star recruit or higher. So they got dudes on the bench that are 3-star recruits or 4-star recruits. So, the talent is endless for IMG Academy.
Yeah, so we're gonna do one more recap, and then we're gonna get into the this week's matchups, man. because we can't get out of here. Let's talk about Bishop Gorman. I'm going to be seeing them live
Yeah.
on Saturday. So let's recap this Bishop Gorman game. Again, I'm finishing out the Buford Milton, so I can't tap into pretty much anything. I'm out in the rain filming from my iPhone, just trying to get the film. What did you see with Bishop Gorman?
The game kind of went exactly how I thought it was. The offense was going to be, learning how to play with a new quarterback with Mike Alihado now graduating at Hawaii. This was a guy who was our junior Max Preps Player of the Year. And then last year as a senior, he led them to a #1 national ranking. So impossible guy you know, to take over. But I was impressed. Melvin Spicer had a couple of good drives. He completed 10 or 13 passes, 180 yards, a couple of touchdowns. Junior Micah Eugenio threw for 62 yards, had 2 rushing scores, but it was the defense that jumped out for me. And that's why I think they're going to have a good chance to win on Saturday because they're very good on all 3 levels. They got your guy, Tank Carrington, there owning the defensive line, one of the best in the class of 2026. They got 3 stud linebackers. And then Jet Washington showed why he is arguably the top defensive back or top safety prospect in the class of 2026. He had 2 INTs and, he's got good DNA being Kobe Bryant's nephew. So he showed why he's one of the best athletes in not just class of 2026, but even regardless of class. Gorman, man, their defense, they're loaded. I can't wait for this game on Saturday. I think it's going to be a low scoring affair, but whoever forces the turnovers, I think is going to walk out with the dub on Saturday.
All right. Well, let's get to these big matchups, man. You kind of give us a little sample of them, right? So let's just kind of
Yeah.
kick it off. Let's just start on Thursday, and we'll work our way through to Saturday. I mean, we've got bangers from Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and we'll just kick it off with I don't know the #1 team in the nation, Modern Day.
Yeah.
Talk to me. What do we got here? What do you see coming?
I can't wait for this one, man, because this is the #1 team in the country. And even before hitting on them, I feel like this week of high school action might be the best slate of games we get all season, which is crazy to think. We're not even in September yet. But, we get to see guys like Chris Henry Jr. make his debut for the Monarchs. He's, you know, I believe he's a top prospect in the class of 2026. He's rated anywhere from 1 to 5 on most recruiting services. The son of the late Chris Henry. He's got length and size to be a big time playmaker at the wide receiver position. The dude's 6'5", like 215, 220, and he flies. So I'm looking forward to see him make his debut for the Monarchs. Modern Day to me, most complete team in the country. They got a great offensive line. They added Cody Green to an already stellar offensive line. He's one of the top rated prospects in 2026, just committed to Oregon a couple weeks ago. Dash Byerly takes over at quarterback. He is one of the more underrated quarterback prospects in 2025. I think he's going to have a very good season for Modern Day. The nice thing for him is he's not going to be asked to do everything. He's going to be able to pick his spots. They got a couple of stud running backs led by Jordan Davison. And then he flipped things over to the defense. Their defense is even better than the offense. So Nasir Wyatt, one of the best edge rushers in high school football. They got studs all over in the secondary. Very talented linebacker core led by Abdullah Sanders, a 2025 Alabama commit. And the bad news for Corona Centennial is there's rumors swirling that Hassan Longstreet, their 5-star quarterback, might not be able to play. He's nursing a foot injury, so hey, that's smart. Don't rush him back, and you don't want to have his senior season kind of nagged by injuries all year long. So hey, if he's not 100%, rest him. Good chance you might see Modern Day later in the CIF Southern Section Division I playoffs. So we'll see how it goes. But even if Longstreet does suit up, I would be surprised if Corona Centennial could take down Modern Day at the Santa Ana Bowl on Thursday. And
Yeah,
also, too, I forgot, man, you got Raul Laura making his head coaching debut for the Monarchs, too. Former great head coach at Long Beach Poly, spent time at St. Anthony. And this is a guy who's coached big time programs before because Long Beach Poly was the Modern Day in the early 2000s.
yeah. So that's and I think Max Preps just put out an article earlier about all of the, this may be the most well-rounded, most nationally ranked program in modern history with the amount
Yeah.
of ranked young men on this team. So Modern Day is definitely gonna be a whole lot of fun to watch going forward. But let's jump into the next Thursday matchup. Let's talk about IMG and who?
It's Corner Candy, baby.
What do we got here? I
This
mean, that's high octane on both sides.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it last week, man. Corner Canyon put a 70 spot on the scoreboard. The first time they've scored 70 points since 2021. I don't think they're going to get to 70 against, loaded IMG Academy defense, but I feel like, I don't know if you remember this game. It was back in the 2016 Honor Bowl. Corona Centennial played IMG Academy, and it was one of the better high school football games of the last decade. Kellen Mond led IMG to a 50-49 win over Tanner McKee. I think we could see a shootout potentially in this one, like we did then, because we saw IMG Academy last year ran the table, went 10-0. The year before that, they wrote off their final 8 games. So they bring in an 18-game winning streak. And Corner Canyon last week, the defense struggled. The offense picked them up. They did give up 42 points to American Fork. So I see IMG Academy having its way offensively. They got some big boys on the offensive line. They got talent all over the field. Looking forward to seeing Ty Hawkins make his IMG debut. He was a stud quarterback in the San Antonio area
Yep.
last year. He competed at the Elite 11 finals too earlier this summer. So I'm looking forward to see what he does. And it's got to be nice playing against the offensive line that's kind of the size of NFL offensive linemen. So
Yeah, I mean they're coached by former NFL greats, and they look like future NFL greats. It's absolutely
yeah,
fun to watch IMG each year, and it's interesting because my timeline gets filled, during the off season with all these kids being blessed to transfer to IMG. And I mean, you talk about big men. They got a couple of linemen that transferred in relatively late during the off season that I
yeah.
think are going to make a pretty big impact during the season. So. IMG is going to be a lot of fun. I've got them next week in Jersey with Bergen
Oh,
Catholic.
nice against Bergen.
Yeah, so we'll chat about that one next week. But let's just keep it
I'll
going.
say I'll say this real quick. I
Yeah,
know we're on a fast timeline, but that's got to be tough for Bergen Catholic too to have their season opener against IMG Academy. It's always nice to kind of get a game before and to kind of get the wheels going. But we'll see. Bergen's always well coached team. We'll see, and that's the thing with Corner Canyon too. Coach Kerr, one of the best in the biz, so he's gonna have some good plays drawn up. We'll just see if they work on Thursday.
no, for sure. So let's kind of keep it going Thursday. We got a couple more. We got Providence Day. They obviously had a big commitment from one of the top ranked recruits in the country, right? He got that out the way. He's going to Tennessee. They got Weddington. What do we got here? Thursday night.
Yeah, I think David Sanders Jr. is the best offensive lineman in the country too. A 5-star prospect for a reason. Big time get for the Vols. And they also added Kendra Harrison, who was our Max Preps Male Athlete of the Year last year as a sophomore.
That's
And this dude is a absolute stud in basketball and football. So huge addition for Providence Day. Oh, he's a freak, man, out there breaking backboards, and then he's jumping over DB's heads. I'm looking forward to this game, man. Weddington won a state title last year. They got, Thomas Davis Jr., absolute freak. His dad was one of the toughest linebackers you'll ever see with the Carolina Panthers. This guy would play with a broken arm. His son is an absolute baller, leads a very talented defense. So this should be a pretty good game. The game's going to be at the Panther Stadium, Bank of America Field on Thursday. So, but I would expect I think Providence Stage has got a little too much talent for Weddington, but we'll see. This would be a big test for Weddington to see where they, square up with a private school like Providence Day.
Yeah, Providence Day. They went 1-0, right? I didn't check much of the highlights. They looked like Providence Day,
It
so
wasn't much of a game. You didn't miss much. So
enough. So it'll be fun to at least see a challenge happen at Panther Stadium. Thomas Davis Sr. He'll be in the building. I've got
oh
to
yeah,
connect with him on the sideline during some 7-on-7. So really nice dude off the field, monster on the field. Typically how it goes. But let's keep it going a little further south. Let's take it to Alabama. We got Georgia, Alabama clashing for another Thursday night banger. What do we got with Grayson and Thompson? We got Trent Seaborn,
yep,
2027, arguably probably, the top, if not one of the top quarterbacks in the class. Did magical things in the state championship as an eighth grader, which
yeah,
then caught
crazy,
my eye, and I was like, who is this kid? And then I got to
yeah,
watch him last year, and now he's starting to look like a grown man. So
yeah.
talk to me about Grayson coming off of a very, very unexpected loss to Collins Hills. What do we got?
Yeah, I think you touched on Trent Seaborn also. I think he's going to be motivated because He barely made it in the top 100 rankings for the class of 2027. He probably should have been higher, but you just look at his size. That's probably why he wasn't rated as some high as these other quarterbacks. But yeah, you brought it on, man. This kid, he's got ice in his veins. As an eighth grader, this dude won a 7A state title in Alabama, which is absolutely crazy. And
Yeah,
then last year, man, he's the Max Preps Freshman of the Year. He's a baller. And, Anquan Fegan, stud in the secondary. They got a bunch of ballers too. So Thompson's going to be ready to go. Grayson's going to be hungry though. Last week, they were up 19-3 against Collins Hill. Collins Hill found a way to come back and escape with a 20-19 win. It was like a tsunami out there. The weather was terrible. There was a delay when Collins Hill had the ball, first and goal, or a goal-to-goal situation. So, weather was a factor for a lot of Georgia games, as you saw firsthand last week on that Friday night. So we'll see if we get the real Grayson. But I'm looking forward to seeing Tyler Atkinson, a 2026 linebacker, who I feel like is the best linebacker in high school football, regardless of class, going up against Trent Seaborn and that explosive offense Thompson's going to bring to the table. This can be a fun game. It's on ESPN2, I believe. So this will be a fun one to put on Thursday. I think it's going to be a very, very competitive game. I think Thompson's going to find a way to win, though.
yeah, it's definitely gonna be entertaining. I'll be, I believe, Peachtree in Coconut Creek Thursday night. But nonetheless, and I'll check out the highlights. But let's take it to Friday night. Let's get to a Friday night. It's another ESPN game. It's a big time matchup between Milton and American Heritage. We touched on Milton last week. We didn't spice them up. So let's give a little bit of attention to American Heritage because they're no pushover. They're no slack. They're definitely gonna give Milton a run for their money. Milton went down south last year and they fought a very difficult Western program who knocked them
Yeah.
off unexpectedly. So what do we
Yeah.
got
That was a shock.
with Milton?
Yeah, hey, you brought it on, man. You call me crazy already, but I'm going to say this. American Heritage is going to win the 4A state title in Florida. They haven't even played a game yet. And I think Milton's going to win the 5A state title in Georgia. So I'm going to say this now. You're going to get a matchup of teams that are going to win state titles here in week 2. And I could see this game going either way. I think Diabell had a very good sophomore year, but I expect a great junior season for the 5-star Texas commit. He's got a bunch of ballers to get the ball to. Brandon Bennett, stud. Malachi Tony, one of the best in the class of 2026. You got Byron Lewis in the backfield, got a very good offensive line. Defense has always got guys flying around. So this would be a good test to see, hey, who's better, Florida or Georgia? I think it's nice for Milton. They already have, a team like Buford. They already played, so they're going to be ready to go from the first whistle on Friday. But Milton, too, they've played their best recently against Max Prep's top 25 opponents. They've won 4 games in a row against ranked teams. So they're going to look to make it 5 in a row as they rolled through the last 3 in the 7A playoffs last year and then started the year off with an impressive win against Buford. So I keep going back and forth on this one, but I do think Luke Nichols is going to find a way to make enough plays, and I think Milton's going to escape. I think they're still a little upset how last year's game went at the Broward County Showcase.
Yeah, that's almost spot on to exactly what my take is. I think it's going to be a very hard fought fight. I think we're probably going to see both teams put up at least 3 scores each, and it's probably going to come down to potentially 1 score as a
Yeah.
final score. So a lot of fun to watch. Definitely be tapped into that, and then let's kind of pause our take and let's bring on a special guest. Let's bring on Dr. Perry, who is a big factor in making this Broward showcase kind of happen. So let's bring him on. Let's get his take and see what we got going from there. All right.
Perfect.
All right. So like I said, what better way to bring on our first guest than right now? We've got Dr. Perry. You've seen him on here before. He is, in my opinion, the face of the Broward County Showcase. But it's just not him. It does take a village. So, Mr. Dr. Perry, if you don't mind, just kind of giving some flowers to those that kind of help you out, and then let's get back to our hot take on this Milton American Heritage banger on Friday night, and then we're going to set the stage for Bishop Gorman, St. John Bosco, Chaminade, and St. Thomas. Let's get it. Talk to me.
Uh, Absolutely. I mean, I can't do it without the team that we have. I'm gonna put some names out there. Sean Sarah that saw the vision I presented to him pre-COVID. COVID hit, so we had to put a pause and we revisited. And James Knapp he's now the CEO of the Broward Education Foundation. We couldn't do it without them and everything that he does. And then you did a great job putting the logos up with Joe DiMaggio, Children's Hospital, Adidas, Dave and Buster's, the BCAA, the Broward County Athletic Association, led by Patty Brown, Rocky Gillis, Kristen Garcia, Jen Hamilton. It just takes a team. I mean, I saw pictures I'll be posting later, everything that they did from, running to Costco for the teams, checking into the hotels tonight. It takes a team to put this on, and I got to give Dwayne. She's been amazing, helping me out with graphics and posting. So it does take a team.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I gotta ask you real quick, Doctor. So, in my opinion, this is the best showcase in high school football. It was already that last year in your second year running. What's all the work that goes in to set up these big time games? Because we get some of the best out of state matchups. We see year in and year out. You look at our top 10 games of the year. I believe there was 3 games in the top 10 that were featured in your event. What's it take? What's the process to get these top out of state teams to come play in Florida?
It takes a 12-month process. I've already been working on 2025 schedule. It's almost complete already. It's just what we have to offer these teams. I mean, what the economy right now, it's really hard for some of these teams to travel. But what we do, we offer 2 nights in a hotel, 2 charter buses, 3 meals a day, swag gear. They get a trip to Dave and Buster's where they eat, play games, and they get another Florida attraction, whether it's the Jungle Queen, airboat rides. It just takes a lot of planning. And like I said, with my team and Sean helping out with sponsorships, but it's giving opportunities to these kids and these teams to basically participate in a high school bowl game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so speaking of high school bowl games, we've been talking about some bangers. We just got done talking about Milton and American Heritage in pretty good detail. So just kind of quickly give me your take. What do you expect to see from this particular matchup Friday night under the lights on ESPN?
It's going to be a great game. I mean, both are very talented. I think it's going to come down to the toughness up front. We all look and we see the receivers, we see the quarterbacks, but being a little old school, it's going to be one up front. So it's going to see who's going to be the toughest up front. But this could be a battle. I mean, defensively, they're both loaded as well. So this is a game that you can see on Saturdays. I mean, that's the best way to put it.
All right, we're not gonna get a score prediction out of them.
Hey, who you got?
Nah,
Who you taking,
nah,
coach? You gotta come on, man.
I plead the fifth on predictions.
Hey, smart businessman. I'll do one for you, man. I think Milton's gonna pull it out, but I wouldn't be surprised either way if Heritage wins that game. The thing I love most, you touched on it, man. They got beef on the inside, and that's where the game's gonna be won. But it is nice when you got quarterbacks like Diabell and Luke Nickel going mano a mano. You got a Texas commit and a Miami commit with a bunch of playmakers to get the ball to. This is going to be a fun one, man. It's going to be definitely the best game on Friday night.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a lot of fun, but we can't just stop there. We move on to another banger in the showcase. It's Saturday, right? Who's got the 4 o'clock game? I think that's Bishop Gorman in St. Thomas Aquinas, right?
Yep, correct.
So who wants to start? Zach, Dr. Perry, whoever. What's the hot take?
Hey, guest always goes first, man. Dr. Perry, you're up first, my guy.
Well, when we talk about trenches, I've never seen an offense and defensive line like these two have. I mean, we're looking at probably give me about 5-6 years. You're going to see 3 to 5 of these guys playing on Sunday. Let's just put it that way. So it's going to be 2 well-coached football teams, very disciplined. Roger Harriet does a great job. Coach Brent, he does a great job. I mean, it's just 2 class act programs, and I'm blessed with the opportunity to be able to match these 2 up together. And like I said, we have these mythical championships, but I want the national championship to be played through Broward County.
I think that's
Hey,
very.
I'll say this. I mean, your event is going to have huge implications when it comes to deciding a national champ at the end of the season. Because I tell you what, man, if Aquinas beats Bishop Gorman, and then a couple weeks later Gorman goes down to Santa Ana and beats Mater Dei, that's going to look good for St. Thomas Aquinas, and vice versa.
Yep.
If Gorman beats Aquinas, then beats Mater Dei, boom, those are 2 huge out-of-state wins. And like you said, I think Gorman's offensive line I think they're the best in the entire country. Douglas Utu, absolute stud, a 2025 Tennessee commit. You got
Yep.
SJ Alofatuli, a 2025 Miami commit. Those two guys have been leaders on this team since they were freshmen and sophomores. These guys are great in the trenches, which bodes well for this team because they're trying to develop a new quarterback this year with Melvin Spicer the fourth, and it just makes his job so much easier. They got a bunch of playmakers to get the ball to, but defensively for Bishop Gorman, that's where I was super impressed with watching them last week. And that's the difference with this team compared to last year's team. Is there a defensive-led team this year? Last year was the offense with Micah Alihado. And that just shows you how good the coaching is at Gorman. They're able to adapt and change things up within 1 year. I think Gorman's going to win this game, but I think it's going to be a low-scoring affair. I think both defenses are going to have outstanding games. And, Justice Fitzpatrick, the younger brother of Mika Fitzpatrick, he's a name to watch for Aquinas' defense. Is a 2026 number one rated cornerback. He could make some big plays. Same thing with Jet Washington for Gorman. So I think whatever defense can force more turnovers is going to walk out with the dub on Saturday.
I'm right there with you 100%. Those both defenses have so much speed. It is ridiculous. And I think it is going to become a turnover game. Who's going to win that turnover battle?
Yeah, and look, I know Zach, you said it's more of a defensive team this year for Gorman, but I can't discredit that offensive line. We got to circle back because if I quote you from last week, you did say that was probably the biggest O line that you've seen. I mean, they've got 3-star caliber kids sitting on the bench, locked and loaded, ready to step in. When their time is called. So it's going to be a fun one to watch. And again, it's on ESPN primetime, nationally covered from the Broward County Showcase. And then we got one more. They're going for the three-peat this year. Last year they did 2 on ESPN. This year we got 3. I say we, Dr. Perry and crew. They got 3. That's Bosco and Chaminade. I mean, if you want to talk about fireworks, let's go fireworks. We got one of Cali's best versus one of Florida's best. Bosco's coming back for year 2. They said, look, we knocked off St. Thomas last year. We coming down. We want Chaminade this year. Dr. Perry, talk to me. What do we see here? And
The one
Coach Negro coming on after you, just so you're aware. No, I'm playing. Go ahead. Give me your take.
great guy. Both are great coaches. But the thing I'm really impressed with, you got 2 high-powered teams, but they're both so young. So I'm waiting to see who amongst the youngsters is going to step up and make a difference in this game. I think it's going to be a kid on 1 or 2 kids on each team that's really going to step it up and become a household name, kind of like Malachi Tony, his freshman year when he made that touchdown. I envision some play coming from a freshman, sophomore that's going to impact the outcome of this game.
Yeah, hey, I mean, you touched on it. These two teams are super young and super talented. So it's going to be fun to watch because there's probably going to be some mistakes made in this game. Bosco's got Matai Fuiava making his first start as a quarterback. He's class of 2026. And Shaman Madon, on the other hand, they got a transfer coming over, a class of 2027, and Zack Katz, who's put up big-time numbers as a starting quarterback before. So it'll be interesting to see how long it takes for either one of these quarterbacks to kind of get into a nice rhythm. But both teams are very, very talented when it comes to wide receivers. Jabari Brady for Chaminade Madonna, he's one of the top-rated wide receivers in 2026 for a reason. He's one of the best regardless of class. But Bosco's got 2 dogs, class of 2026 also. I love Madden Williams. He looked great in the scrimmage last week. And then you got Daniel Odom, too, who had a good game last year against St. Thomas Aquinas in that 20-7 win in the Broward Showcase event. So, Bosco has that experience. Both teams obviously have experience playing in the Showcase. Chaminade beat St. Francis last year 35-14, but it's hard to go against Bosco for me. They're always so well coached with Jason Negro. I think they're going to find a way to win this game, even though they're young this year. Let's not even play. Like, this is probably the youngest team Jason Negro's had, and they're still ranked in the top 5. So that just shows you the type of program that he's built. Bosco is a team, they finished ranked in the top 25 every year since 2013. So when you talk about consistency, there's no other program that does it better than Bosco. But Chaminade Madonna, they played in 8 consecutive state title games too. So they're very familiar with winning. This is going to be a very, very competitive game. I can't wait. I'm excited, man. I can't wait for Saturday. I can't wait till even the event gets going on Thursday. But it ends with a banger on Saturday night. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, man. Bags are packed. I'm ready. Look, I'm ready.
I'm jealous. I'm jealous, man.
I'm
And Rob, you got to record it. I believe he went 3-0 for the visiting teams.
Oh wow.
I think so.
Yeah,
I
I think I
think
did, man.
it's gonna be a clip we'll post it on social media.
Hey,
That way we can refer
hey,
to it next year.
I'll say this, man. My boys, I'm not the best when it comes to picking. So my boys made a shirt for me. It's hashtag ZPC. They call it the Zack Poff curse. So I don't feel great for all the traveling teams going out there, man. I might have just jinxed them. So don't be surprised if you see this floating on Twitter Saturday night when I go 0-3.
Oh man. So, anywho, we got to talk about the receiving core though, right? Because you touched on the youngness of both programs, and you touched on Jabari from Chaminade. But Chaminade, I mean, they've got I think three, maybe four wide receivers that are what 4-star, top 100.
4 stars in 100.
I
Yep.
mean, it
Yeah.
is outrageous. I mean, Kobe Howard added to that when he transferred in this offseason, who just committed to Penn State, by the way. He had a heck of a game last year against that Milton program that we talked about, when he was at Western. And now he's on the Chaminade program with a quarterback that, like you said, put up big numbers as a starter last year, transfers in, and now he's basically got the Avengers for his wide receiving core. I mean, he's got the best of the best in a sense, and he's gonna have a fun time out there, and it's gonna be a challenge for Coach Negro and the Bosco boys to defend that. But I'm gonna be on the sidelines, and I'll let you know how it looks.
Who you taking, Rob? You can't get out of here. I can't be the only one picking, bro. You got to get made fun of too if you take an L.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of leaning one direction. So go ahead and say it.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right,
Take the Lions, dog.
I'm going out on a limb, and Coach Negro might not like me for this, but I
As
believe
we're getting ready to get them on.
but I believe
Yeah,
it's going to be hard. But I'm going with Chaminade in a close fought battle. I think Chaminade is going to pull it out this year.
I think
and I was
Dr.
about to
Perry's
remind
leaning
you you're going to be
Chaminade.
coming next.
I think Dr. Perry's leaning Chaminade too, but he ain't gonna admit it.
Now I'm pleading the fifth.
Bleeding the
I stay neutral in my 7 games.
so we've been spiced up the Broward County Showcase. We've been talked about the big time matchups. Now let's kind of dig into it a little bit deeper. We got a few more minutes to steal from Dr. Perry. So let's talk about the experience overall. A, it's South Florida, right? B, it's like a bowl game experience. So when you put this thing together, these programs are starting to come in today and tomorrow, essentially. So, what do they get to expect coming off the plane, right out the gate? Welcome to South Florida. Here's the Broward County experience.
Perfect example. Like I said, we got Peachtree Ridge arrived today. We met him at the airport with 2 charter buses. We had box meals. We do box meals from either Lime Fresh or Jersey Mike's getting off the bus. So they're eating, checked into the hotel. And like I said, when I was texting you, I'd literally just left Dave and Buster's where the kids ate dinner there. They're out there running around having a great time on the game, the game room. I've never seen so many smiles. That team was so excited, so grateful, thanking, myself, my staff of everything that we do. And, it's just a great group of coaches, well-disciplined team. So that's the things they're going to get when they come to South Florida. I mentioned everything else, but we try to be, Zach, as you said, like above all and give kids a true bowl game experience when they come to South Florida. Oh, and the parents, because one of the parents just now said that they're going on a cruise after
Hey,
the game. So
look,
Wow, so they making it a whole thing. So that's
yeah,
smart
they make
parenting.
it a vacation.
Hey, I gotta put you on the spot, man. I know you said 2025 might be better than 2024. Can you give us a little tease or something? What teams might be participating? Maybe a team from Santa
hold on.
Ana, California.
I think if I were to guess, I'm going to assume St. Thomas Aquinas is coming back next year. That's my take. Right or wrong?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you that one.
What about is the
I
Santa Ana team maybe coming by?
I
I know
won't
y'all been
speak
trying to get
on
them.
out of state teams, but I will say I'm still waiting on a few certain states to join the party.
Yeah, it's all good. I'll say it for you, man. Texas ain't ever coming, man. They don't travel out of state. So sorry, Texas, but
Well,
it's just how it is, man.
No,
See,
but you did a nice plug for me, so I'll roll with it.
I got you.
all right,
I
Doctor.
love Texas high school football, though. By the way, I'm just saying that, but they don't travel out of state, and I wish they would. Man, it's a different time now than it was 10 years ago. If you want to be considered the best team in the country, you got to play at least one out of state game.
That's the whole purpose of designing this. As you know, I'm from Virginia. When I got to Florida, they say Florida's got the best athletes. You hear the Texas, you hear California, Georgia, Ohio. There's only one way to find out, my opinion. Like I said, I'm old school, and that's in between those white lines.
I agree 100%.
So look, Dr. Perry, we definitely appreciate the time. You snuck away from Dave and Buster's with Peachtree Ridge. Shout out to you and your team, man. I see the photos. You got a bunch of young ladies. Looks like a couple younger gentlemen that I've not seen before. When I was there last year, helping out, doing big things, just putting things together. So again, thank you for allowing me and my guy Coach E to come down from Virginia and enjoy this showcase. And then shout out to your entire team for putting on arguably the best showcase in all of high school football. I mean, I just came back from Georgia. The Corky Kettle has been going for many years. It's a fantastic program, but they just don't deliver these out of state matchups. I mean, it's all big in state bangers, and then we come to South Florida, and we got South Florida's best versus the nation's best for the most part, with the exception of a few programs. Hopefully they'll come to the party here soon, but nonetheless, it's a fantastic time. I can't wait. I board the plane tomorrow. I'm coming to South Florida. Me and Coach E. I'll see you soon, my man. I appreciate it.
Hey, I appreciate everything that you two do and covering us and promoting us. That means a lot. And some of the things that you say about how we class act and everything that we do. I couldn't do it. We couldn't do it without you saying what you do and putting it out there to everybody else across the country. So I appreciate you guys.
No, for sure,
Hey,
man.
we appreciate you too. Actually, I want to get you out on this, Coach. How do you think Michigan's going to do this year? I see some Wolverine stuff there in the background. So you think they're going to miss Jim Harbaugh or what?
This one, I will give a prediction.
All right, there we go.
Champions again.
Oh,
No way. We'll see. We'll see, man. We'll see. I love it, man. You're a hardcore fan.
I'm never discounting my Wolverines. I'm true. Maize and blues. So it's one of those things, especially now that you just did it. It's like an expectation.
that's it.
So
Yeah.
people got us finishing like 4th or 5th in the Big Ten. No, do not count out Michigan and their coaching staff.
I'll say this, man. They're great when it comes to recruiting 3-star talents before they become 4 and 5 stars. They were one of the first teams on Mason Graham, absolute stud at Servite, played with No Fafita and Tetero and McMillan and Jacob Manu. That was a loaded Servite team. But Mason Graham, this is a guy who could potentially be the number 1 pick. I got to say this, so we're rivals now because I'm a USC guy. My team's in the Big Ten now, so we'll see how it goes. But this year might be tough, but I'm a big Miller Moss guy, so we'll see how it plays out. But I don't think we're going to do too well in the Big Ten in the first year. So,
well, I love that you said it. I really think Mason could be the number 1 overall pick, which is crazy. I mean, that's a heck of a kid.
A great kid. Servite did a great job with all 4 of those guys, man. They're all well-respected young athletes who have very, very bright futures. And, shout out to Troy Thomas there, former Servite coach.
Good deal. So, Dr. Perry, again, thank you. I will see you in just over 24 hours. I'm excited. I'll talk to you soon.
Hit me up when you land.
Absolutely, man. I'll talk to you.
See you guys.
All right. So, look, we were just joined by Dr. Perry, and now you see a new face on the screen. It is the man, the myth, the legend himself. This is Coach Jason Negro of St. John Bosco. Coach, welcome to the show. How are you feeling, good sir?
I'm feeling great, guys. Thanks for having me on, Rob. It's always good to catch up. And Zack, you guys do a phenomenal job with this. And anytime we have an opportunity to talk about our program, high school football, I'm willing to do it. So again, honored. Thank you for having me a part of your show.
Absolutely. So let's get into some fun, right? We plucked Dr. Perry's brain, and he refused to give us a hot take on any of the matchups respectfully. So let's talk about your big matchup Saturday. It's on ESPN. It's prime time. it's nothing new, right? You've done this a few times, I'm sure. But let's talk about that big matchup that you have against Chaminade. High-powered offense, high-powered defense. What are you feeling?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of anxiety, I think, for being at the first game. You always got a little nerves. I wish we would have had a game under our belts, but we weren't fortunate enough to be able to do that. It's week 0 for us. I think that's one of the things that gave us a big advantage last year against Thomas Aquinas. It was our second game and their first game, and that means a lot. I know Chaminade scrimmaged, we scrimmaged as well, but it's nothing like getting out there and playing a real game. Chaminade's a great opponent. I think they finished, second last year in Max Preps, excellent 25, and we were 4th or 5th, something like that. So it's a quality opponent. They're incredibly well coached. They got a lot of athletes up and down the roster. They're good up front. They're very sound with what they do, explosive on offense. They got a lot of tempo, which is very similar to what we see at Corona Centennial out here. So it's going to be a great matchup. And for us, I think traveling and having to deal with the elements is going to be a little bit more challenging for us. We got a young football team, but it's something that we like to do. We're a competitive group. We want to be, in the events that are elite and give us a chance to test our skill set against some of the best in the country. And no better way to do that than to come down to South Florida and test our skills against some of those great teams down there.
Yeah. Hey, Zach, I know you're itching. Hold on. I just got to, I have to, a big shout out. You were talking about the elements. I have to give you guys a shout out because last year, I'm pretty sure you were the only football team that played that Saturday in that high 100+ degree heat and did not have anybody cramp for the most part. You guys were locked in, ready to go, and we had guys all over the place just cramping, locking up, and you guys were looking sharp as ever. So shout out to you and your program for that. I think the pickle juice was the secret, but, the cat's out the bag.
Well, there's a couple things that contribute to that. Number one, our strength and conditioning staff, our training staff, does a really good job in pre-hydration. So we started it a couple weeks ago, and it's hot out here in California as well. I mean, it was 95 degrees today, a lot of humidity. So it's very similar to what we're going to see on Saturday night. But last year we did a really good job with the hydration leading up to the game. And I thought that was something that was, really good for us and a benefit. But the other thing is we play a lot of kids. We have a lot of depth. We're going to play 20-something guys on defense, maybe another 18 or 19 guys on offense on Saturday night. And I think that's going to help us and going to allow us to be able to withstand, some of the heat and the humidity late into the game, into the fourth quarter. And we're not playing under the sun. I think that's going to help us as well.
Yeah, that sun was brutal. But go ahead, Zach.
I got to sneak one in here. Coach, I know Bosco and you do a tremendous job of playing out of state and traveling. Just talk about the experience, though, for all of the kids who this might be their first long road trip coast to coast going to Florida. Just, talk about how that experience is for all of these players that get not many schools get to travel from California to Florida to play a big-time high school football game like we're going to see Saturday. Just kind of talk about that experience, especially for the young guys.
We take a lot of pride, Zach, in trying to create a collegiate style high school football program. And we're always talking about being collegiate. We want to try to become professionals and provide our kids with some unique opportunities and everlasting memories. And these trips certainly allow us to do this. One of the things is you have to have a quality football team and you have to be wanted and be willing to go kind of stick your neck out on the line to compete against some of these guys. And not a lot of people are willing to do that. I'm not afraid to go and lose a football game if that is what happens. We just want to be able to, like you said, create really cool memories, give kids experiences, and allow them to see different regions of the country. I met Rob, up in the Virginia area a couple years ago in 21. We got to play Oscar Smith, and they were a quality opponent. But again, it's about, just like what you said, letting these new kids kind of come through the program, see what it's like to travel, live in a hotel room for a couple nights, be in a different time zone and experience some different weather patterns and things like that. And it's only going to be, beneficial for us down the road. I'm a big believer in trying to make kids uncomfortable. If you want them to grow, you want them to get better, and you want them to succeed, you got to put them in uncomfortable moments and allow them to be able to work themselves through that and learn how to problem solve and adapt and to adjust to different types of experiences or environments. So that's what we're going to continue to do. And we're going to have a little fun along the way. But again, our primary goal is to win a football game, and that's what we're going to go out there and try to do.
Yeah, good deal. So let's talk about the football game. You got a lot of young guys. Let's, what are some, who are some young guys that are, standing out during this offseason that we can expect to make an impact come Saturday night on ESPN?
It's funny you say that because, we use the term young when you're talking about grade levels and classes. I mean, I don't think our kids are actually that young, in the world of holdbacks and things like that. Kids are actually maybe a little bit older, but their class is younger. So it's more of an inexperience factor than it is kind of a young factor, if that makes sense. But I have a lot of confidence in my guys. I think they're going to perform at a high level. There might be some anxiety, being on TV, being in South Florida, playing the last year's number 2 ranked team in the country. And I think they're like 5 or 6 times straight state champs there in Florida. So there's going to be some anxiety, but I think we're built for this. I mean, that's what we talk about in the standard that we have here at St. John Bosco is we want to try to be elite. And if you're going to do that, you got to go play elite competition. And you have to win some of those ball games, which is what we've been able to do. On the offensive side of the ball, Matai Fuuyava is going to get the start at quarterback. He's going to be a junior. We have 2 junior wideouts that are nationally ranked guys in Madden Williams and Daniel Odom, super talented dudes. Jeremy Lenore is a senior. He's going to be our starting running back, but Ashton Keys and Malik Blackwell Allen are our 2 running backs, or 3 running backs. Those guys are doing a great job. We'll start, 3/5 of our offensive line are going to be underclassmen. So I think those guys are going to perform well. And then on the defensive side, we're only going to have 2 starters that are seniors. We'll have Epi, who's a defensive end for us, and we'll have a corner in Jacob Holmes. The rest of the group is probably going to be underclassmen. So when you start 9 guys on defense and probably another 8 guys on offense that are underclassmen, you're considered a young football team. But these guys are talented. It might be one of the youngest, most inexperienced teams we have, but it's probably one of the most talented that I've had in my 15 years here at Bosco.
Yeah, and Coach, you lost a very talented class of 2024 group. Kingston Villamasu, absolute stud now at Notre Dame. Marcellus Williams, big-time DB. And, Caleb Sanchez at quarterback, he had a great senior season last year. Who's been that guy this year, though, has kind of stepped up as the new leader of the squad?
I think Madden Williams is going to do a really good job for us. I mean, he's kind of that alpha guy out there at the wide receiver spot. Daniel Odom's another one. He's a big-time playmaker. Those 2 guys are just like power forward dudes. I mean, they're going to be able to go anywhere in the country they want. So I think you have to look at those 2 guys first. We got a, kind of like a 3-year starting center, and Matthew Purdue has done a really good job for us. He's kind of that leader up front for us at center. Adrian Tavui, that on the right side is our right tackle, is a 2-year starter, and he's only going to be a junior. So he'll eventually be a 3-time starter for us. And then on the defensive side, Dutch Horace and Epi Sentinelle, those 2 guys are beasts. They're the 2 edge defenders that we have. Josiah Poyer and Matt Muasau are 2 inside backers I think are very, very similar to what Jordan Lockhart and Kingston Biliamuasa were last year. 2 Polynesian dudes that like to run around. They're very physical. They're fast. They can play, in the run game, and they can also drop back and play in the pass game. And then we got a lot of interchangeable parts in the secondary. With the safety spot, we're going to probably start 2 sophomores, at the safety position, a junior at the corner and Josh Holland. And at the other corner is going to be Jacob Holmes, who's the 1 senior. So there's a lot of guys. I think we could rattle off some names, but they've all played a lot. That's another thing that necessarily, people don't know. It's like, oh, he wasn't maybe a starter last year at Bosco, but he might have played a whole lot because we get in some lopsided games and allow guys to get out there and play. Or even in the Thomas Aquinas game last year, we had to play a lot of players because we wanted to keep them fresh. So these dudes all played. It's just their time to shine right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's just kind of take it through the season. We've got, Zack, what are some matchups that stand out to you, from the Max Preps end, right? I mean, you put out the, 3-4 big matchups that they've got on the schedule in addition to this big one that we've got Saturday. Let's kind of, is my mic working?
Yeah, you're good.
You're good.
All right,
it's
cool.
just it's crazy to me because even if Bosco didn't play any non-league games, they'd still have one of the toughest schedules because the Trinity League, by far the best league in the country. But the game I'm looking forward to outside of the Chaminade game is Sierra Canyon. This is a program last year made it to the D1 semifinals. Obviously, a lopsided loss against Mater Dei. We saw them last week against Punahou. They got a very good defense. What can you tell us about Sierra Canyon? Because they're kind of that new breed in Southern California. And really over the last 5 years, they've really taken leaps and bounds. And now they're one of the best teams in the country.
Well, I got to give them a lot of credit. They play a really tough schedule themselves, and Coach Ellinghaus has done a phenomenal job there. He's a friend of mine. So for us out here, we try to avoid some of those matchups early on in the season because the way that things are structured, you're probably going to play them in the playoffs, and that's not something we really want to do. So that's probably why we haven't played. Over the last couple of years, we did play them in the COVID season, that spring season, and we had an opportunity to play against them, and they do a really good job. They're incredibly well coached. They got a lot of really talented players. We got to play at their place on a Saturday night, which is going to be a little bit foreign for us. Never experienced playing on their campus, so that's going to be an exciting, environment for us to be able to play in. And again, it's a Saturday night, so probably be a lot of people there. But I know it's cliche. I try to look at one game at a time, and my whole focus has been on Chaminade. But I know that Sierra Canyon's there. We got a team from Texas coming in out of the El Paso area next week, and then we got to go up to San Mateo, and then we got Pittsburgh coming down to play us. So our non-league schedule is very competitive, and anytime we play somebody, we seem to get everybody's best effort. Which that's kind of what we want. We want to play people that are excited to play us, and it's going to be nice playing Sierra Canyon and being able to just take a bus instead of having to go out of state to play an opponent for the first time in maybe 4 or 5 years.
I got to ask you too. I mean, you look at Bosco's program, the job you've done there, tremendous work. I mean, you guys are the only team in the country that's finished ranked in the top 25 every year since 2013, and 9 of those times you finished in the top 10. Just talk about how hard it is, though, as a coach to keep your program that consistent, because we'll see a school go on a 5-year run and kind of not be as good. But you guys have been so consistent. Just talk about all the hard work and everything that goes into that.
Well, man, thank you for that, making that as an acknowledgement. I mean, I think it's because of a lot of factors. And first and foremost, I've got one of the best staffs, that a coach can ask for. And I know a lot of coaches talk about that, but when you talk about the consistency of my staff, in my career at 22 years, I've only had 2 offensive coordinators and 2 defensive coordinators in 22 years. My D coordinator, Chris King's been with me for 15 years here at Bosco. Stephen Lowe, my offensive coordinator, has been here for 7. My offensive line coach is where I think you win a lot of football games up front. Jim Adams has been with me for 22 years, and my D-line coach has been with me for 15. So when you have that type of consistency on a staff, and you could really trust these guys to go out there and coach their butts up, and get after our kids, and they know what the expectation levels are. It all starts with the staff, and I got a tremendous training staff. Training staff's been with me for 14 years. Miss Jessie's been with me for 12. So as my director of football operations, so I've got a lot of consistency there. And then again, Bosco allows me a platform to be able to attract really talented kids. We're in a hotbed for football talent here in the Southern California area, just sitting outside of LA. So, honestly, if we just continue to do what we need to do, we're going to get good, talented kids to want to come here. Parents trust what we're doing. And I think if you look at the history of our program, we're sending a lot of kids to college. And when they go to college, they're playing early, they're making contributions, and then they're matriculating some of them even into the NFL. So I think we've become a destination for kids to want to use the platform at which we have to get to their next destination. And when they get there, they're prepared on the academic side, they're prepared on the athletic side, and they're socially able to adjust to whatever college environment they're going into. And that's a win-win situation. And I think that's the reason why we continue to have really talented kids come here. We're a small school. A lot of people don't know we're an all-boys school of about 800. So it's tiny, but, we do really good things. And I'm just blessed to be around such talented people, and I invested in human capital. And if you want to be successful at any walk of life, put yourselves in the room with the most talented people around and let them go to work. And that's kind of my mantra and what I've been able to do. And I just happen to have good guys that are able to get that done.
That's pretty remarkable. I mean, the coaching staff, 15 years here, 22 years, 7 years, 15. I mean, it's that shows that shows who you are as a head coach. I mean, these folks could up and leave and take other opportunities. I'm sure they're presented pretty regularly, I would imagine. And they choose to stay at Bosco and with Coach Negro. So that's remarkable. And then Miss Jessie, we got to give Miss Jessie a big shout out. She's fantastic.
Jesse's the best. I mean, it's easy. She's the easiest to work with. She's the best with media. Some schools, it's tough with media, man. But Jessie, man, she's the best. So you got to give a shout out to Jessie anytime you can, for sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'll make sure she knows that. Thank you for the kind compliments of everything. And, at the end of the day, it's about building relationships. And I think we've done a pretty good job of building relationships. And if you're kind and good to good people, they're going to pay it forward, and they're going to help you out along the way. And I think that's kind of something that I've been able to do. And we haven't had a lot of turmoil in the program over those 15 years that I've been here. It's rocky times at times, and you get beaten games that you don't necessarily think you're going to lose in. And, but then on the other hand, you win some games that you probably shouldn't have, so it's all kind of all balances out. But at the end of the day, you really have to, put your faith in the people that you have around you. And you have to build good relationships. And that's what we've been able to do. And I try to treat people right. I'm not the easiest guy to work for. I'm very demanding. I have high expectations. I want people to have an elite mindset. But again, I've been able to surround myself with people that are like-minded, and they want to be able to do the things that I'm doing, and they like winning. And at the end of the day, that's what we're going to continue to try to do, and look at it from one week to the next and try to win every game on our schedule.
Yeah, so let's talk about the 1 week by the next, and let's shift gears, right? We just had a very high octane, high level conversation about the program and the season ahead. Let's kind of slow the pace down and de-stress, right? Let's talk about the fun that you're going to experience when you get off this plane. Dr. Perry said you guys will be met with 2 charter buses in either Jersey Mike's or some other fancy box lunch. But this is year 2 for you. Obviously you chose to come back, I would imagine, because of the experience in the competition. But what are you looking forward to when you get to South Florida and with your team? What fun Florida excursion are you guys going to do outside of the Dave and Buster's?
Well, first and foremost, you have to give Sean, Sarah, and Dr. Kevin Perry a tremendous amount of respect. I've never been on a trip to where we've been treated so well. We have 2 chaperones that follow us around, and they are with us every step of the way. The hotels are first class. The busing's first class. The meals first class. The whole experience is just awesome. So when they gave me the opportunity to come back this year, I didn't even hesitate. I'm like, I'm absolutely going to be there. Not only is it a first class experience, but get to play first class talent and really good football teams. So it's kind of a win-win in that situation. But, this year we're going to take it a little bit different. Last year we went to a Marlins game, and we went to a jungle cruise and went to a barbecue. This year we're going to keep it more a little low key. We're going to focus a little bit more kind of at the task at hand. We're going to the Dave & Buster's. We're going to go to the Milton game against American Heritage on Friday night for a little bit, because I think that's a top 20 matchup that I would like to see. Milton does a great job, and we're practicing at Heritage. So I know Mike Smith really well, and he does a really good job at that program. He's part of our Nike Elite group. So I get to spend some time in the off season with that program. And again, just high quality, high character individuals that do a really good job of coaching football. So we're going to spend some time in seeing how other people do it. But again, it's more about, the building the culture and the brotherhood that we have here at St. John Bosco. So every step of the way, we're going to be doing it with our kids as groups, spend some time in the hotel. We're going to go to the Atlantic and spend a little time swimming after one of our lunches, give our kids that experience. But again, it's more about bonding. It's more about building the culture and developing the brotherhood that we have here. And we're going to have a good time. But we're going to keep our mindset and our focus, because the last travel game didn't necessarily go the way that we wanted to when we were in Hawaii against Kahuku. And I think we deviated a little away from understanding that it was the football game first and it was the vacation second. So we're going to shift that mindset. We're going to be a little bit more highly focused and put our attention on Chaminade Madonna and try to win a football game.
Hey, you were also playing against the refs a little bit in that Kahuku game. I know you don't want to admit it, but it was pretty obvious. And you're not missing much not going to a Marlins game this year. They're not even really a AAA team this season. So I got to put you on the spot though, Coach. You had some great teams during your time there. Who do you think is the best Bosco team single season? Obviously 2013 with Josh Rosen, 2019 with DJ Uyunglele, and then the team a couple years ago that won and finished the year at number 1. For me, I feel like that 2018 team might have been the best, but didn't win state and lost to Mater Dei at 17-13 loss. But yeah, Trent McDuffie, Chris Steele, DJ, and George Helani. That was a very, very talented group. But who you going with as the best Bosco team ever?
It's funny you say that, because when people ask us, and I know our kids are going to, if any of them see this, are probably going to get mad at me, because how do you pick one over the other? That 22 team was pretty special, because that Mater Dei group was, they were dominant.
Yep.
And they were coming off of a national title the year before, and I think they had won, 20 something straight games. So that 22 win at the Rose Bowl was pretty big for us. But and that 2019 game with DJ led us back with Chris Hudson and Logan Loya, that was phenomenal against Bryce Young. Bryce Young was, we were 2-2 against him in high school, and I don't think he lost another football game during his 3 years there at Mater Dei. So we did a really good job against him. But I think, there's something to be said about that 2018 team. That team was special, and we rolled every single game, even Mater Dei in the league game. We rolled them up pretty easily, and then they. I mean, it was a convincing win at the Santa Ana Bowl. It was in their home stadium, and for us to go into that place and to win is not easy to do. I don't think we were overconfident. We just didn't play really well offensively, and they had a really good game plan. Dave Money that year, as the offensive coordinator, kind of sat on the ball. They took the air out of it. Bryce did a really good job of kind of distributing it, and they won third down that night. I think it was Mikey Williams, or I can't remember. Mikey Martinez was the big tight end. Had a couple big plays, in that game. But we also, Chris Steele had the block on the field goal, and Trent McDuffie the scoop and score, which was pretty cool. But again, that might be the best team that never won, and so that was kind of maybe one of my failures. Thanks for reminding me, Zach. I appreciate it.
Hey, I'm going to say this, man. I got a lot of heat that year because I had y'all preseason #1. And then when you guys beat Mater Dei like that, 41-18, because that was the same year Mater Dei beat IMG Academy. So everybody was pumping their brakes. You guys had that close game with Jay Sarah, so a lot of people were kind of doubting you. And then you won 41-18. I think that's the best Bosco team I've seen during my time working at Max Preps, even though you guys didn't win state.
Well, and that just tells you, I mean, that's a testament to how tough the football is out here in California. I mean, twice during the time that we won a national title, we didn't even win the league title. So when you can't win your league, but you can win a national title, tells you how talented the Trinity League is and how tough it is to beat Mater Dei. I mean, shoot, I think over the last 7 years, we're the only team that's beat them like 4 times. So we need some help. We need some people to go out there and knock those guys off. But it's tough. And I think the only loss that we've had, during that stretch was to Servite beat us in 21 with Noah Fafita and T-Mac. Had a really good game in the semifinals. And so it's kind of been back and forth. Kahuku got us last year. But like you said, we're not going to talk about some of those external factors that played into that. But again, it's fun. It's fun to be a part of this, being in an environment, in a platform that's going to allow us to play some of these national opponents is certainly great. And we're going to welcome as many people into Bellflower to come play at Panish Family as much as we can. So anybody that's willing to come to California, we'd love to have you play us.
So coming to California, I've got one on my wish list, my bucket list. I think it's going to happen soon. I hope it happens soon. And that's from the DMV, Our Lady Good Counsel in St. John Bosco, finally getting together and making that happen. I would love to see it. Fingers crossed we make that happen.
We played Good Counsel. I think it was back in 19 or 19.
That was when it was the Trinity League versus USA Showcase, because that was the next night Mater Dei played St. Francis, I believe. You guys started off Friday. Yeah, it was obviously your guys' stadium too. Yeah. That was a low-scoring game, man, but y'all pulled it out.
Yeah, and Jay Sarah, it was a low-scoring game. We kind of pulled away at the end. Jay Sarah played Milton in the early game on Saturday as well. Right. I owe Coach Stefanelli, I owe him a home game. So we'll probably have to go to the DMV out there to play them because he already came out here and played us. And we've tried, I'll be honest with you, we've tried over the last couple of years to match it up. It's just hard when you have to travel 3,000 miles in one direction. And then if I have to travel again, I can't do it back-to-back weeks. You obviously have to have both games open. But Good Counsel is a great program, and I definitely owe them a return trip. But if they're open and they want to come out this way, we would play them as well. They do a phenomenal job. They're a really talented coach team, and they got a lot of football players that are certainly of quality character and quality performance level.
Yeah, so I gotta ask you real quick. Actually, I remember. I think the last time y'all went to the DMV was when DJ Uyunglele came in and led you guys to a wild comeback against St. John's. Is that correct?
That's right. In 2017, he was our backup as a sophomore, and Real Mitchell, who had won a state title for us, was our starter. And Real struggled a little bit. I think we were down like 21-10, with the last 7 minutes of the game. And then DJ came in and orchestrated 2 drives. George Halani scored on a screen. that put us down by 4, and then we scored, with a couple minutes left in the game to wrap up that victory, and then the rest is kind of history. DJ did a great job, ended up, doing some phenomenal stuff for us through 18, and then won us a national title in 19. So yeah, St. John's is a cool place to play. Great program there as well. But there's some areas that I still want to come to. We're looking into going into Georgia next year, so that's something I've always wanted to do, whether it's playing, in Mercedes-Benz Dome or playing one of those really cool stadiums at Buford or Valdosta, Norcross, something like that. But we definitely want to go into Georgia. That's kind of a bucket list place. And I wouldn't mind going back to Texas. That was a good experience for us when we got to play at Allen. So maybe playing somebody in Texas again. I know they don't want to get out of the state and come to our area, but I would love to go play DeSoto or maybe North Shore, Duncanville, something like that again as well.
Hey, I'm gonna get in trouble here, man, but I don't think Texas team wants y'all to come back. So
no, it was good, and Mater Dei kind of put it on them. I think it was the year before as well. Yeah. But hey, it's the only way you're going to get better is to go test your skill set against quality opponents. And kind of see where you're at, and that's what we're going to continue to do. And God willing, if we prepare our team well enough and we do the right things, we're going to at least have a shot to win the game. But you never know, man. I mean, if you were to look at the box score, you were to look at the projections going into our Kahuku game last year, you would have said, Kuku didn't stand a chance. They got boat raced the week before against Mater Dei, and then we go in there maybe a little bit too confident, spent a little bit too much time at Turtle Bay, and we got beat. So, sometimes people got to go test their luck against good quality opponents and see what happens, and don't ever, underestimate the squad that you have, because at any given time, on any given Friday or Saturday night, anything can happen. And that's the reason why we're going to take a little bit different approach playing Chaminade this week.
Good deal. Good deal. So, Coach, we've been taking up quite a bit of your time. You've got a whole slate of things to do, I'm sure, to get ready for your flight, your trip to South Florida. So, do you have anything else that you want to, anybody you want to just say thank you, give a shout out to, any of that good stuff? Or are you just going to leave it at B and say, I'll see you in South Florida? Chaminade, you're on the clock.
Yeah. I just like to thank you two for putting together this program. Obviously, you're taking time out of your own busy schedules to try to highlight, high school athletics, coaches, players. Rob, you do such a phenomenal job trying to help these young guys get to college. And Zack, what you guys do, and most notably you at Max Preps, is really blown this thing up. I mean, because of what Max Preps has done in terms of the rankings and allowing us to get these matchups set up, you can really kind of close in on trying to determine a true national champion, even though it's mythical. We all know that. But those of us that are willing to go out there and try to test, our teams against some of the best in the country, at least you're going to throw your hat in the ring when the season's over. And what you guys do at Max Preps and CBS to put us in this position, I just want to thank you for continuing to offer us this platform. And thank you for all the kind words that you always have to say about myself, my staff, as well as my program. It's greatly appreciated.
Hey, we feel the exact same way at Max Preps and myself, man. You're great to work with, and you do a great job. Obviously it's cool to finish here ranked at number 1, but you don't do it for that. You do it for all the kids, and you want to develop these guys into young men and have bright futures. And that's what I respect the most about you and your program.
Appreciate you, Zack. And Rob, thank you guys very much. And anytime you need anything out of us here at Bosco, we're more than willing to try to provide a little bit of content and, give your show the best that we possibly can.
Absolutely. I'd most definitely appreciate it. I'm personally excited to see you guys and Miss Jessie, right? Not all guys. I got to shout out Miss Jessie. She'll be down in South Florida helping everybody stay organized and on track. So, Coach, man, safe travels. Best of luck this season. I'll see you in just a few short days in South Florida. Safe travels, man. I'll talk to you. Thank you.
All right, you guys be good. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Later.
All right, so we've had Dr. Perry. We had head coach of St. John Bosco, Coach Negro. And now we got a few more minutes before our next guest comes on. So we're going to circle back because we didn't get to all the big-time matchups. We got Long Beach Poly on the board. Talk to me, Zack. What do you got on this game?
Yeah, this one I'm looking forward to seeing. Obviously Poly's got some young ballers, but I'm looking forward to seeing Folsom this year. We put them in the top 25. They took the last spot at number 25 in the Max Preps top 25, but they won a state title last year, and they bring back a lot of key players. They also added some big-time transfers, but it all starts with Ryder Lyons, 5-star quarterback, class of 2026. He's one of those type of dudes where he's going to be able to pick whatever college he wants to go ball for. And Folsom's produced a lot of big time talent. Jonah Williams, former first round pick, and Jake Browning, who had a very good season last year. This guy pretty much owns every record for quarterbacks in the entire country for what he did at Folsom. But Ryder Lyons is going to have a chance to be the best Folsom Bulldog of all time. You just look at the season he had last year. He counted for nearly 4,000 yards of total offense, had 60-plus touchdowns, and I think he's just scratching the surface. I can't wait to see what he does this year. And I think Folsom's going to have a real good chance this year to finally get to that CIF Open Division state title game. They played in state championships before, but never the largest classification where they would get a chance to play most likely Mater Dei or St. John Bosco. And I think that would be a very entertaining game just because they have Ryder Lions along with a very talented group led by Jamison Powell, another standout in the class of 2026. But this is a big test right off the bat, man. Long Beach Poly always wants that smoke. They're always one of the best programs in SoCal. So this would be a fun SoCal versus NorCal game. And we'll see if NorCal can get some bragging rights because SoCal's really had most of the bragging rights here over the last few years.
In Long Beach, they've definitely had their way the last couple of years. They've lost a lot of guys, but they've also brought in some young guys. So Long Beach Poly is definitely one to watch. It could be entertaining, but I'm going to assume you're taking Folsom with NorCal over South, Southern California for once. So that's the hot take on that. And let's kind of shift gears. Where else did we miss? We got the Orange Lutheran game. There it is. So talk to me, Sierra, Orange Lutheran. Another big time matchup.
Yeah, SoCal ball. These are two of the elite programs in Southern California. Gardena Serra is a program that's produced the who's who of talent: Robert Woods, Marquise Lee, Dory Jackson. And they a lot of ballers have come through Gardena Serra, and they got a very talented group. Duve Williams, class of 2027 standout. You got the Robinson brothers at wide receiver who transferred there. They played at Long Beach Poly a couple years ago. And this will be a fun matchup. Orange Lutheran, the crazy thing is about their schedule this year, all 10 games are against teams that are ranked in our preseason top 100. So there's really no cupcakes for the Lancers this year. They went 5-6 last year, but they started out great. And then TJ Lateef got hurt in that loss to Chandler, and they just were really never the same. There was not a lot of team chemistry. They're battling through some tough injuries. I expect them, if they stay healthy this year, they're going to be a serious threat in the Trinity League. And I feel like they could give Mater Dei or St. John Bosco competitive games. They're not in that upper echelon just yet, where I think they would beat Mater Dei or St. John Bosco. But this team's very talented defensively. TJ Lateef at quarterback. They got a very good offensive line. This is a team to watch out for in SoCal, but they get tested early. Sarah's a tough bunch. Jimmy Butler, one of the more underrated quarterbacks in Southern California. He wants to prove he's one of the top dogs. And he gets to go against TJ Lateef, 2025 Nebraska commit.
Yeah,
I got Olu in this one too.
Oh, okay. I was gonna ask for the hot take, but you mentioned the Robinson brothers. They transferred in. They're going to be fun to watch, right? We got the older brother at Washington, and then we got the two younger brothers. What is it? 25 and 26.
You got Jaden 25. And then you also got 27 also.
27, yeah. I was going to say, I wasn't sure if it was 25, 26, 25, 27. So uber talented family, going to be fun to watch. Coming from Long Beach, probably, like I said, lost some guys, but they're still stacking up. But you got
Skyler Robinson, by the way, too. He's their dad's the man. He's always hit me up on Twitter. Good dude. He does a great job raising his boys. But he's always told me, I don't know if he wants me to say this, but Skyler's the one to watch. And that's saying something because you got Jason already at Washington. So
Right. And Jason had a heck of a high school career.
Oh, I've been saying that for years, man. He was easily one of the top 3 or 4 route runners in high school football. He put on a show every Friday night. He's a stud.
Yeah, and now we got younger brothers about to show out down in Sierra. So fun times there. But let's keep it moving. We got one more to touch on before our last and final guest wraps up practice and joins us. Let's talk about this matchup. We got Mission and Santa Margarita. What's your take here?
This is going to be a fun one. I feel like Mission Viejo's the more talented team, but it's close. Santa Margarita, they got this cat, Trent Mosley, class of 2026. Last year, he had like over 1,200 yards receiving, I think he combined for nearly 30 total touchdowns. I think he had 15 rushing touchdowns, 12 or 13 receiving scores. So this is a guy, when he gets close to the goal line, they're going to just put him in a wildcat. And good luck trying to tackle Trent Mosley. But Mission Viejo, they're loaded. Dejon Lee, 5-star corner. If you're going to build a corner, exactly what you would build in Dejon Lee. He's tall, he's athletic, he's got long arms, he's got the perfect frame, and he's an absolute ball hawk if quarterbacks even try to look his way.
And he's
Vance Spafford,
committed to Bama, right?
Alabama. Yeah, Alabama commit. You also got Vance Spafford, who's really every time 24/7 releases its new rankings for the class of 2026. Vance Spafford is a name that keeps jumping up and jumping up and jumping up. And then you also got Philip Bell III on the other side at wide receiver too. He's one of the best senior playmakers in the country. They got a couple of quarterbacks they play. This is a very, very talented team. Mission Viejo last year battled a lot of injuries. They got healthy as the season got towards the end. They beat De La Salle to win a CIF state title. So this is a team, they brought back a lot of talent. They got a very good defense, and they got a lot of good playmakers on offense with a couple of good quarterbacks throwing that thing around. So I would expect Mission Viejo to win this game, but Santa Margarita, they're in the Trinity League, and Trinity League teams are always battle tested. So we'll see how this one plays out on Saturday night. But I think the Diablos are going to improve to 2-0. They looked very good last week against Kamehameha out in Hawaii. Won that one 41-7.
Okay, so another high-powered, entertaining matchup. So that's the big games that we set the stage for, man. I feel like we've been talking forever, but man, we've talked a lot of good football with a lot of great guests. But we're not done. We still got one more. He's going to be QB1. We're not going to spill the tea just yet. He'll jump on here in just a second. But I do have to take a moment to thank our sponsors. We've got I Am Power Energy, as well as the Great White Premium Apparel. So check out the website, greatwhite.shop. It's got some sweet premium apparel for you student athletes, especially working out. So check them out, Great White. And then the 39 Hearts Foundation. It's the reason why Spotlight 39 exists. It's why I do what I do. Every strong athlete needs a strong heart. Please check out the website, spotlight39.com/39hearts. So Zach, man, we ready to bring on our next guest?
Oh yeah, man. Let's bring him on. He's a big-time quarterback, and he put up numbers last week. So I'm looking forward to see what he does this Thursday.
Let's get it. Let's bring him on. All right. So look, we've got our last and final guest of the evening. It is Helaman. I'm going to get the name right. I'm going to butcher it. I'm going to let you say it. Say your name in full so we've got the proper pronunciation going forward. And then we're going to talk some good football because, like my man Zack said off air, you're putting up Madden numbers in week 1. Let's go.
Helaman Casuga, guys. What's up?
What's going on? So, Zack, go ahead and take it away, man. Talk to him about this game last week where we got Madden numbers and then what we get to look forward to with the big matchup this week.
Yeah, Helaman, I just wanted to bring up, man, last week y'all put up 70 on the board. First time Corner Cannons did that since 2021. What were you seeing on the field? And I know you got a bunch of ballers like Jerome Miles to get the rock to. Just talk about last week's win against American Fork, 70-42.
Obviously what I saw is just safeties came down. I mean, they probably should have been smarter about just how they went about things. We have a lot of fast dudes. We got 3 guys that run under run in the 10s, in the 100s. So you for sure got to cover us deep, or else we're gonna kill you just like how we killed AF. Obviously, we schemed for it very well. Shout out to our coaches because they got us prepared for that. But really, it was just came down for us executing it and just making sure that we got the ball to the ball players, really.
Yeah, so let's talk about the big matchup this week. What are you looking forward to in that big matchup? And then what can we expect? Are we going to get a duplicate of week 1? Or, the game plan going to be a little bit different based on the opponent?
I think you guys are going to be in for a show. I think it's going to be a great game. IMG is a great team. We're a great team. So we are for sure going to try to shock people on Thursday night. Obviously, we're the underdogs, so we're coming out with a chip on our shoulders, trying to put Utah on the map and also our team as well. Utah doesn't get a lot of opportunities to play these top teams, so when we do get the opportunity, we try to make the most of it. So I think we're gonna try to shoot for 70 again because I think that's just what every offense should shoot for, to score on every drive and execute that way. But that's really the goal. I don't think the game plan's changed. The game plan is just to score and win the game. And obviously they're probably gonna stop us, or we're gonna get up on them. So I think just win the game overall is just our biggest goal. And so if we got to put up 70, we got to put up 70. If it's a lower scoring game, our defense is doing good, their defense is doing good, then it's a lower scoring game. So the objective is to win the game for sure.
I got to ask you too, man. You spent the last 2 years at Timpview, put up big time numbers. Played in 2 state title games, won a state title last year as a sophomore. How much did that help you though, getting ready to play quarterback at a school like Corner Canyon when you already have that experience playing in big time games at Timpview?
It helped me a lot. I mean, coming into week one, my nerves were just pretty low. Obviously, you get preseason jitters. Everyone does. Who doesn't? But it helped just kind of just being in that setting, just knowing that I can say to myself, like, I've been in places like this. It's nothing new. Obviously it's a new offense, but Timpy's taught me so much and just kind of built that foundation to where I can pick up anything or with some time. So coming into Corner Canyon's offense and Care's offense, it's really been a smooth transition. Obviously, I've made some mistakes. Who doesn't, coming into a new offense? But it it, it really did prepare me for sure.
Good deal. So let's just kind of talk briefly the rest of the season. We get through IMG this week. We still have the rest of the season to go. What are some of your personal goals that you got set in place, and really what can we expect to see from you in Corner Canyon going forward?
Some personal goals. I like to break the state record. Isaac Wilson broke it last year with the senior year, and just coming after him, it kind of puts like a kind of just puts a chip on my shoulder. Like I put a chip on my shoulder, just like, hey, like that's the expectation, you know, coming into this highly offensive team. So that's kind of my personal goals, to beat his record. I mean, who doesn't want to beat a record? It's pretty amazing when you do. So personally, that's one of my goals, is to beat the record for all total yards. And then what you can expect as a team wise, we're gonna win state. Obviously there's great teams and then there's great opponents, but I'm betting on our team and on our offense and our defense that we're gonna get it done and win state again for sure.
I got to ask you too. You brought up Coach Care, and this is a guy, I call him the Lincoln Riley of high school football. If you look at the quarterbacks he's coached, obviously the Wilson brothers, Devin Brown, Jackson Dart, and Cole Hagan, and Austin Defenses back at Jordan. What's it like playing in his system? And we saw last week you threw two incompletions and 6 touchdowns. So how fun is that, getting to play in Coach Care's offense?
It's super fun. Obviously, you can see the numbers. It's quarterback love friendly, so he rides on his quarterback. He's always on me during practice, making sure I'm doing the right things, seeing the right things, and he's also coaching me. Like if I have questions, he's gonna take the time to make sure I understand what I'm doing. So game week, I can perform to the best, and that obviously that's kind of how our offense rolls. It's kind of just air the ball out because we got dudes that can run. Um, our concepts are crazy, so we got a line that can block. Shout out to the O line, man. They give me time, and the receivers get open, so they make my job easy. But yeah, for sure, Care knows what he does. What he's doing with his quarterbacks for sure.
Yeah, so look, I know you're on a time crunch. You've just got out of practice, I believe, and you got a big phone call coming up here in a few minutes.
Yeah.
So I don't have anything left for you, but Zach, I feel like you got a little something left in the tank. So you got a few minutes. Pick his brain.
Yeah,
For
I
sure.
know you got to get out of here quick.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I just got 2 more questions. So I just want to give us a quick, what's the environment like on campus this week? You got IMG coming in. Is the town, is the city, is the campus a little more excited with the team like IMG coming in?
Yeah, everyone's excited. To be honest, I think it's just more nerve wracking for us. Not everyone's going crazy. School just started up, so everyone's in school. and I haven't really heard a lot because I'm barely in school about the game, but I bet you some other guys are. There's a lot of guys that are talking about it, but right now we're just trying to keep our head down and just make sure we're mentally locked in.
And you've hit double-digit offers here. There's more going to be coming here. You're only in your junior season, but what are some schools that are standing out for you early in the recruiting process?
A&M, Washington, Auburn, Nebraska. Shoot, who else? Utah, BYU. I kind of posted my top 8 not too long ago. Pretty sure I just named all of them. If I can't remember if I missed any of them, but that's kind of just my top 8. Obviously, there might be some schools that come later on, so we'll see if they're still interested after me posting that. But I kind of just wanted to just make that public, so the schools can kind of see that. Just because my class is heavily recruited, a lot of people in my class for quarterbacks already committed. So just by doing that, kind of like secured some spots in some places. So it's been those are kind of my top schools right now.
All right, this is the last one for me, I promise. Who's your dream school? Like, who do you envision going out to play, coming out a Saturday night?
Sorry, you broke up. What was that?
Yeah, so who's your dream school? Like, who have you dreamed about and just so excited to maybe get an opportunity to come out every Saturday night and be QB1 for that college?
Growing up, it's been Oregon. Obviously, they got their 2026 commit, Jonas Williams out of shoot. Where is he out of? I forgot where, but he just transferred to a new school. Shout out to him. He's a super cool dude, super talented. But for sure, Oregon was one of them. But unfortunately, that didn't work out. Kind of just late to the late to the recruiting process. But Oregon was one of them, just because Marcus Mariota, um, just being able to play in that stadium would have been crazy, just because we're both from Hawaii. So that would have been an honor.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool, man. So look, appreciate you jumping on for sure. Best of luck this season.
Of course, thank you.
This season, best of luck against a very stout IMG program. I get to see them firsthand in person next week in New Jersey when they play Bergen Catholic. So I'm going to definitely be tapped in, seeing how you guys perform. Stay strong, stay safe, stay healthy, man. And, I'll be following you throughout this recruiting process and the rest of your high school career. Until next time, man. That's Zach. I'm Rob. That's Helaman. Helaman out of Corner Canyon, man. Helaman. I'm going to get it right.
One day, bro. One day you'll get it right, dog.
I'm terrible, man. 3 points knocked off because I can't get a name right. But look, I appreciate you. We'll tap in next week. Until next time, Spotlight 39. Hit that subscribe button. I appreciate you.